Today I thought I'd make a video about reassembling a Taurus Model 82 .38 Special Revolver. I had originally taken this gun apart, and actually I didn't have to take it nearly this far apart to do what I was going to do, but once I started taking it apart I thought I'll just take it all the way apart and then maybe I'd make a video about putting it back together. I'd take it apart because this hammer spur broke off of here. There you go. Like I said, I didn't have to take it nearly this far apart to change the hammer out, but I thought because I had to take it apart anyway, and the original reason why I even bought this gun was because it was cheap. J&G Sales had these a couple years ago for $149.99, and I thought, you know, that would be a good gun to get and take apart. I'd never had a double action revolver like this before, so I thought it's cheap enough, I can take it apart and play with it, and if I screw it up, I'm not going to be too upset about it. So that's the basic overview of what we're going to do in the video, or what I'm going to do if you're going to do it. I mean, I guess you could do it at home if you had one of these, but I mean, that'd be weird for me to assume that you do. Anyway, that's going to be the gist of the video. So kind of get a close up here of what the frame looks like. Little internal parts, you have the hammer, well, I can't remember what that's called, your cylinder stop. So I'm trying to slowly rotate the camera. Hammer spring cap, side plate, there's your paw, there's the hammer, there's your cylinder lock, cylinder release, firing pin spring, pin that holds the firing pin in. There's your yoke, cylinder, your cylinder spring, your extractor spring, I can't remember what that's called. Then the ejector rod. And not all this terminology may be right. I mean, it's not like I remember everything offhand. Anyway, that's the star, extractor, ejector. And that's the general overview of all the little tiny internal parts. Oh, I think I missed this way. The slide stop spring, which is right there. And the screw that holds it in. And I don't have the side plate screws on camera right now, or the grip screws, so I guess you'll just have to sit in suspense and wait for the all-exciting screw portion of the video. Now I'm going to start assembling this thing. It looks a lot more complicated than it really is, and it's pretty straightforward. All the parts tend to go where they look like they should go, but in the same stroke that is important to get some parts exactly the way they need to be or the gun won't function. That's probably pretty apparent if you've done much disassembly of guns. You probably are aware at this point that even a spring turned the wrong way can make a gun not function correctly. Like, say if you take the extractor spring out of a Glock, when you put it back in, if you put it in backwards, then the extractor won't actually function at all. It won't lip over the end of the cartridge. But you may not notice it because the gun will extract and eject without the extractor actually engaging on the rim. For the most part, you might just have a few small hiccups here or there, but you do want the extractor to work, as it makes it a little difficult to pull a live round out of the chamber without it. Anyway, back to our Taurus Model 82 .38 Special. Just another little bit of background on this. A friend and I attempted to blue our revolvers, which it didn't turn out very good. So he had someone else that was doing some parkerization for him, and so we just had them parkerized. Except I forgot to include my my cylinder release latch. So anyway, now we're going to get to assembling it. Hopefully I can do this without screwing it up too badly. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Hopefully I don't. Okay, I'm going to start out with the firing pin, which, to tell you the truth, when I was doing big hands in the way. When I was doing a prep for this video, I put the gun all the way back together and realized I'd left the firing pin out. Which, I mean, I guess is okay if you're taking it right back apart, but you don't really want to leave the firing pin out if you're not going to take it right back apart. Okay, nope, right in the camera, that way. Okay, if you look, this is the firing pin. Round, round, focus, focus. Oh, that is freaking horrible. Okay. Go towards the gun more. There we go. Okay, if you look, it's got a flat and a round on it. Flat and a round. Get right in the camera there. Flat and around. Ooh. Okay. You want to make sure you have the flat side up in the frame, as well as making sure you put the firing pin spring in. I'll say this, my fingers look way fatter on camera. And then it just goes in, firing pin hole right there. And then there's a pin, holds it in place. If you look at the pin, if I can get it on the camera, it's got a little extra bit, a little turn down portion at the end. That's the side that goes in to the frame. There's actually a hole on the corresponding other side of the frame that this fits into. And the reason why you put the flat side up on the firing pin is because that's what holds it in place. It acts against that pin that I just dropped into that hole that you probably can't even see. But that's okay. You'll get the gist. Okay. Now you put in the cylinder release, cylinder lock. This also keeps the hammer from moving, from firing, or the hammer from going back into cocked position with this little lip back here once it's all back together. So that way, in case your cylinder isn't all the way locked, you can't fire the gun, which is a smart move. The Taurus Model 82 is basically a Smith & Wesson K-frame. Smith & Wesson, I believe, licensed them out to be made in Brazil in the 50s, and then Taurus went on to produce them on their own as the Taurus Model 82. I'm pretty sure about that. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't know the dates, but I probably should have looked those up. Anyway, this is your safety. It's your hammer drop safety, that unless you have the trigger pulled, the hammer cannot hit the firing pin. So it looks like a little golf club or hockey stick if you're a sports fan, or if you're an Adam Sandler fan, it looks like Happy Gilmore's putter, just smaller, or maybe cone, glass cutter. Anyway, that goes in here, right in this channel. And it goes all the way up there at the top. That's where you're going to want that. Then this piece, ooh, looks like a little dragon's head. Dragon's head. This goes down here at the bottom, and this is acted on by the cylinder ratchet. You want it down in this position, and you'll see why in a little bit, or you probably won't really see why very well because my hands are kind of in the way. But with those in place, we come to the next truly difficult portion. Actually, probably the only part of this that I would call difficult. Well, maybe another part too. But that's putting, well, not this part. This is the cylinder stop. is what engages in the cylinder notches to make sure it's lined up with the barrel when you fire. Important piece. Try to get a good profile of it. There you go. This one's a little worn, and if this gun were going to be something I carried or used for personal defense like regularly, or thought I would be, I would probably change some of these parts out. Like some of these springs, if you look, they're a little kinked and things like that. But this is mostly just a target range gun, maybe around the house gun, but not something I would carry or expect my life to depend on other guns for that purpose. So, now to the fun part. This is always fun. There's probably some better way to do this than what I know. It's just putting the trigger assembly in. Get on screen there. And the problem is you have to push this spring, which doesn't really want to go in there. It's a pretty stiff spring. Stiff. Some craziness there. Anyway, you have to push this against this pin right here. Try not to cover it up. Right there. You have to compress it against that while pushing the trigger on to its pin, which I use this little punch here, which is right here. Pin right there. Okay. Now, take and slide this monkey, and I try to put the spring at the top of this pin a little bit. I think it seems to kind of hold it in place better, and that way I'm not rubbing the back of that against anything else that it might catch on the inside of the frame. Okay, let's try to do this, see if I can get it in one take without it. Oh, nope, slid off. It's okay. Did not explode the rest of the parts in the gun yet. Which I have done before. I have done. Okay. Oh, it's even harder when you're trying to keep your frames out of the shot, or your hands out of the shot. You know, I was hoping this video would be like a 15-minute video. I may not come in under that. Okay. Make sure that the cylinder stop is up and out of your way. There we go. Whew! Seemed a lot easier than it was. And now I'll go ahead and put my cylinder stop spring in, since that's in place. And I have the lamest screwdriver for this, but I find that it has all the tips I need on one lame thing. But, you know, it has sentimental value too. One of my kids gave it to me as a Father's Day or Christmas present. So put that in there. Then put this in here. Screw it down. Just screw it all the way in. Remember, there, so you can actually see something other than my hand. Whenever you screw something in, there's tight and then there's over tight. So don't over tighten anything. It probably looked like I was doing it there. Not as much as it seemed. Okay. Need to make sure that's up there, because you need the mouth of that dragon that I pointed out earlier to line up. Woo! Line up. Now I'm out of my light. With that small little hole there. I guess I could have zoomed in. That would have been the smarter thing to do. Anyway, you want to make sure that lines up with that hole there, because this bottom pin right here of this goes into there. I'm going to zoom in. Goes into there, and it catches in the mouth of the dragon head. It moves this thing. Oh, if I can do it without knocking it all out of place. Down out of the way of the hammer, which you can't see. So I'll go a little wider. There you go. Moves this up and down out of the way of the hammer. Okay. Let's go a little tighter again. Okay, I've gotten this far. Now I'm going to put the hammer in, which you want to make sure you put the hammer in that's got the spur on it, not the broken one. That would be dumb to put the broken one back in. So just slightly pull back on the trigger so it can lip underneath there. There we go. Now that's in. That tends to hold everything kind of down in place. Now, I'm going to put the hammer spring in, which hammer spring goes on this rod. This rod goes into the back of the hammer. And this cup is held in place by the stirrup right here. So, I'm going to push this down into this hole, which there's a hole in the bottom of this stirrup. And it's kind of hard to see, but I'm going to grab this and grab the spring. I'm going to zoom back around a little bit and just set it right into the back of the hammer. There's a little notch. There we go. And now that's in place. Now this will need to be tensioned down, but I'm not going to do that right at the moment. Okay, now that I've gotten this far, I'm going to put the cylinder back together. So let's move out here. We'll zoom in a little bit. Okay. Let's get a little wider so that way I don't have to worry about being out of the shot too much. Okay, now I have the cylinder, the yoke, the extractor, all the springs, accoutrements required to extract shell casings after they've been fired. Oh. Now when you look at the cylinder and the extractor has a flat groove on it that goes right along with the one in the cylinder that you probably can't see too well. And there are also two pins that line up with small holes in that. Okay, in place. And this spring right here, little collar on it, goes inside the cylinder. And then extractor rod, I guess is the best way to put it, goes inside there. This spring goes inside there. And then this rod, threads, that's what it looks like from the end, threads into here. It just threads in, threads in, threads in. Okay, and then that just slides onto the yoke. There we go. You'll have to forgive the camera. I'll figure out some way that I can get this at a different angle. But right now, that's how that works. Okay. Now, the difficult part. And that is putting the spring into the small hole here. Then you have to put the paw into here, then put that on the gun. I mean, I've tried several different ways to do this, and this seems to be the best way. And you're probably not going to be able to see it very well, but I'll do my best. Take a small punch and shoot the spring out over there. Okay, so see, that's something you want to avoid because it can make them hard to find. And unless, say, when you bought a new side panel screw because you lost the side panel screw, unless you ordered some more springs, that can make it a little difficult to find. Okay, well, back after finding the spring that shot, not too far. Anyway, it goes in here. I'm going to try to do this time without shooting it across the room, which is harder to do when you're trying to get it on camera than you think. Okay, you just push it in with there, with the punch, like so. I'm going to hold that in place for a second while I get this with my finger instead of the punch, but now I'm going to reintroduce the punch. Hopefully this time keeping it from sliding all out everywhere and flying across the room. Okay, now I'm going to hold this part, try to show you what it looks like. Hold that part with the punch, hold the spring with the punch, and then hold this part, the ratchet, the arm, in this manner right here. Now I'm going to let the punch out. You're not going to be able to see this, but I'm pushing the punch down, and then pushing the ratchet against it so that there we go. Now see that spring is holding the ratchet in place. Now this will keep the spring where it needs to be and the ratchet there, which it's important because without this spring you don't have pressure against the ratchet to press into the cylinder. It's not going to turn the cylinder. The gun's not going to work. It would be then pretty lame. So now you have to line this up with this hole right here, making sure that the little dragon mouth is down and in place. You can kind of see it there. See, it's angled down. Should be lined up with it. Then, zoom out a bit. I'm going to put the cover on. Try to keep my fingers out of the way, although you still can't see anything. Just slide that down in. Press it down in there. Okay, now should be all in place. Looks good. Looks good. I'm going to press the cylinder release in so that way I can cock the hammer back and make sure this all seems to work. I'll look in the back. Oh, can't really see. I'll show you there. There. Kind of see it down in there. That hammer block is down, so that means everything's lined up, everything's good. Oh. Firing pin and firing pin springs in place, that's good. Okay, I always like to stop when I'm at a certain point in the job, make sure I've done at least this portion of the job correctly, because that way I don't have to redo it again. So that is in there and together, so that's good. Now next part I'm going to do, I don't know how other people do it, is put the yoke and the cylinder onto the frame. When you do this, make sure you have one of the flutes lined up. There's a projection right here. Make sure you have one of the flutes of the cylinders lined up with that as you put it in. That way it'll clear. And don't worry, because one of the side plate screws will hold this yoke into place after we put it in. And you know, it'd be good if I could kind of do what I just told you I was going to do, or what I just told you you should do. Okay, there we go. Cylinder's in. Oh, the hammer spring's not tensioned enough yet. But anyway, yeah, there we go. It's in. Let me finish putting it in, putting it together. And I'll do that by putting in the side plate screws. So I've got my nifty difty Christmas present screwdriver here. One of the reasons I like this is because the blades are actually the exact same size as these screws. I'm going to put that one in. Would be nice if they're a little wider though, or if I took a file to it and squared them up a bit. But I've not done that. So, and I've got Yeah, I don't know if you can tell in the video or not how pitted up the metal was here. I mean, it was bad. You know, and even if we had even if we knew how to cold blue way better than what we did, which was not at all, the gun really needed some other better sort of refinishing than a cold bluing kit. Not to say it didn't work. I mean, it kind of did. Another though, good tip: when it says used in a well ventilated area, use it in a well ventilated area, because the fumes from acid are a lot worse than what you realize. And once you realize how bad they are, it's about the time you are dizzy and feel nauseous. So always use in a well ventilated area. Let's tension this. This gun, when it was functioning well, it was just slightly below the surface of the frame. Well, could use a little bit, but anyway. Now, going to put the cylinder release lever on, like so. Which hopefully, yeah, good. I had not looked at the camera a little bit, so I'm glad to see that I'm still in frame. Wow, I hope I was for most of that. So, that tight. It'd be nice if I had new screws for this too, because those are all a little rounded. Okay, now the grip panels go on like so. Like so. And then the grip screw goes on like so. You can't see anything, so let me redo that because I was way off camera. Grip panels go on like so. There's a pin in the bottom and they just kind of fit up there. And this one, generally the same thing on the other side. Yeah, how about you don't put the screw in it first? That's smart of you. Okay, I'll drop the screw in, tighten it by hand a little bit, and screw it in. Okay, now let's make sure cylinder comes out, cylinder goes in, hammer locks back, hammer fires. Trigger's a little sticky. We need to take this back apart. But there we go. That's how you do it. Hope you liked the video, and you know, it's just starting a couple new things. Trying to do some different things. Ooh, put that in frame there. I'm going to have another video of changing a bolt stop out of M44 bolt action rifle, which is actually a lot simpler than this was. So hope you decide to watch that one, enjoy watching that one. I'll also have some more shooting videos and some just other random videos in that line of stuff. So thanks again, have a good day. Hopefully maybe this helped some people, or maybe at least made you laugh a little bit. So thanks, bye.